There is a kind of exhaustion that does not come from hard work nor from the body lacking rest. It comes from trying to keep everything under control for too long. You try to control the future so you will not be caught off guard. You try to control your emotions so you will not get hurt. You try to control other people so you will not be disappointed. And little by little, life becomes a tightly stretched rope in your hands. The tighter you hold it, the more your mind suffers. But the irony is that the harder you try to hold on, the more everything slips out of your grasp. Human beings often believe that control is strength. We are taught to always prepare, always calculate, always make sure everything goes according to plan. But very few people realize that there are things which become more frightening the more we try to control them. Deep inside, life has never operated according to anyone's wishes. Time does not ask for your permission before taking away your youth. Other people's feelings do not change simply because you try harder. And tomorrow does not promise to unfold according to the scenarios you created in your mind. But the human mind does not want to accept that. It wants certainty, wants to protect itself from loss, wants to keep everything stable forever. And that is where suffering begins. There are people who spend their entire lives trying to hold on to a relationship that no longer belongs to them. They analyze every message, every glance, every small change in the other person as if understanding enough could somehow save everything. But love cannot survive inside control. The tighter you hold on, the more suffocated people become. The more afraid you are of losing, the more you lose yourself first. There are also people who live obsessed with perfection. They plan every step, try to avoid every mistake, try to become good enough in the eyes of everyone around them. But life is not a problem with a fixed answer. Some doors close even when you have tried your absolute best. Some things fall apart even when your love was sincere. And there are moments when the more a person resists, the deeper they sink into exhaustion. The most frightening thing is not losing control. It is living your entire life afraid of losing control. You begin stressing over things that have not even happened yet. You wake up feeling like you must run faster than time itself. You do not allow yourself to rest because you are afraid of being left behind. Even when everything is still fine, the mind continuously creates terrible scenarios in order to prepare for them. And one day, you realize that you have never truly lived. You have only been trying to manage every possible form of suffering that might happen. But life does not need to be controlled that much. It needs to be felt. A rainstorm does not ask whether you are ready before it falls. A season leaves without needing anyone's permission. A river does not force itself to keep the same shape in order to please its banks. Everything in nature moves through surrender. Only human beings keep resisting the law of change, then wonder why their souls are always exhausted. According to Buddhist wisdom, the root of suffering lies in attachment. We suffer because we want everything to remain exactly as we wish forever. We want the people we love never to change. We want life to always go smoothly. We want ourselves never to fail. But impermanence is the true nature of life. Everything comes and goes. And when you resist that truth, you are resisting the natural flow of existence itself. At some point in life, human beings must learn to admit that they cannot hold the entire world in their hands. You cannot control the thoughts of others. You cannot keep everything unchanged forever. You cannot stop time from moving forward, but strangely enough, when you stop trying to control everything, the soul finally begins to feel lighter, like someone who has carried a backpack that was far too heavy for many years finally deciding to put it down. Peace does not appear when life becomes perfect. It appears when you stop fighting against the things you cannot change. There are nights when people lie awake not because the problem is too large, but because the mind refuses to let go. It keeps replaying the past, trying to repair what has already happened or predict the future before it arrives. But the past cannot return. The future does not yet exist. The only thing that is real is the breath happening in this very moment. And it is heartbreaking how many people miss their entire lives simply because their minds are always somewhere else. Letting go of control does not mean giving up on life. It means no longer forcing everything to happen according to your will. It means understanding that you can still give your best effort without clinging tightly to the outcome. It means accepting that sometimes loss is also part of growth. It means allowing yourself to rest from the pressure of always having to be strong. People are often afraid to let go because they believe that if they do, everything will collapse. But sometimes holding on too tightly is exactly what causes things to break apart. The tighter a hand squeezes sand, the faster the sand slips through the fingers. Life is the same way. Some things can only stay when you stop trying to force them to stay. And eventually you will understand that peace is not found in controlling tomorrow. Peace is when no matter what tomorrow brings, you do not lose yourself. It is when the mind is no longer stretched between thousands of worries. It is when you can sit quietly and watch an evening pass by without feeling guilty for resting. Maybe today you are still carrying many pressures inside your heart. There may still be things you cannot let go of immediately, but remember that healing does not happen overnight. It begins the moment you stop forcing yourself to control everything. Let life breathe. Let the mind rest. Let everything come and go according to its natural nature, because sometimes the strongest thing a human being can do is not holding on to everything at all costs, but being peaceful enough to gently let go. There are people who spend their entire lives swimming against the current. They are exhausted, but they do not dare to stop. They are drained, yet they still pretend to be fine. Each passing day becomes a silent battle between the things they want to hold on to and the things life is trying to take away. And the most heartbreaking part is that most of those battles were never truly necessary. Human beings often believe that if they try hard enough, become wise enough, become strong enough, they will be able to keep everything exactly the way they want it. But life has never promised that. It is like the sky changing colors after every sunset, like leaves that must fall when the seasons change. Nothing remains still forever. It is only that human beings fear loss so deeply that they keep clinging to things that are already changing every single day. There is a very silent kind of suffering when you spend too much energy trying to hold on to things that are already leaving you. A relationship that is no longer the same, an old version of yourself, a dream that once set your heart on fire. You know everything has changed, but the mind still refuses to accept it. It keeps asking why, what if only, and then you become trapped in endless cycles of regret while forgetting that life is still unfolding right in front of your eyes. Many people are not truly living in the present. They live in fear of the future. and in the shadow of the past. They worrying about things that have not happened more than they feel the things that already exist. They spend hours thinking about how to avoid being hurt, but in the end they hurt themselves through those very thoughts. The mind becomes a room where the lights are never turned off, a place where every worrying circles endlessly through the night without a single moment of peace. The strange thing is that the more people try to control life, the more powerless they feel, because deep inside, everyone knows there are things beyond their control. You cannot force someone to love you forever. You cannot force time to turn back. You cannot stop change from happening. But instead of accepting that, we resist it, and it is that resistance that creates exhaustion. A tree branch can survive a storm because it knows how to bend with the wind, but if it rigidly resists every movement, it will break. Human beings are the same. Sometimes the harder you try to hold everything together, the easier it is to shatter from within, not because you are weak, but because the soul was never created to carry so much tension for so long. According to Eastern wisdom, suffering begins when human beings demand that life must always follow their desires. We want everything to go according to plan. We want other people to understand us without explanation. We want beautiful things to last forever, but life does not operate according to personal wishes. It changes constantly, and sometimes the things you try hardest to keep are the very things causing you the most pain. Perhaps the hardest lesson of adulthood is not how to achieve more, but how to feel lighter. When people are young, they often believe happiness lies in gaining more money, more recognition, more achievements. But the farther they go, the more they realize that some things only make the mind heavier when there is too much of them, too many expectations, too much pressure, too many roles they force themselves to become. And then one day, they feel lost inside their own lives. Have you ever felt like you were trying to please everyone while forgetting your own feelings? You tried to become good enough, successful enough, strong enough, worthy enough to be loved. But the harder you try, the more exhausted you become, because deep inside, the soul does not truly need so many things. It only needs peace. It only needs to live without constantly fearing that it is not enough. There are nights when people stare at the ceiling for hours because the mind refuses to stop. Old conversations return again and again. Old mistakes replay endlessly inside the head. Terrible scenarios that have not even happened are imagined over and over, and people exhaust themselves with things that exist only in thought. What is sad is that most of our pain does not come from reality, but from the mind trying to control what cannot be predicted. A person may sit in a beautiful place and still feel anxious. A person may achieve the thing they once dreamed of and still feel unhappy, because if there is no peace within, nothing outside is enough to fill that emptiness. Human beings often search for safety through control, but in truth, the greatest safety lies in acceptance. Acceptance that not every closed door is failure. Acceptance that some people are only meant to walk beside you for part of the journey. Acceptance that sometimes life destroys your plans in order to guide you toward a better place that you cannot yet see. There are things you must lose before realizing they never truly belonged to you. There are journeys where you must get lost before finding your real self. And there are moments of letting go that are not endings, but the beginning of freedom. Many people are afraid to let go because they think letting go means losing. But in truth, continuing to hold on to things that are hurting your soul is the deepest wound of all. There are relationships that survive only through endurance. There are expectations that only pull you farther away from yourself. There are goals you pursue not because your heart desires them, but because you are afraid of disappointing others. And eventually, there comes a moment when you begin asking yourself, what am I living for? Not living to feel, not living to be peaceful, but living to chase pressures that never end. That is when the soul begins to speak, not through words, but through exhaustion, through emptiness, through sleepless nights, through no longer finding joy in the things that once made you happy. Modern life makes people believe that rest is laziness, that only constant busyness gives a person value, but nature has never worked that way. The sun also sets in order to rest. The ocean also becomes calm after great waves. Only human beings force themselves to stay strong all the time, then wonder why their hearts grow heavier every day. Perhaps what we need is not more control, but more trust. Trust that not everything leaving is a loss. Trust that you are still okay even when life does not go according to plan. Trust that sometimes the most beautiful things appear when we stop forcing them. A seed does not pull itself upward in order to grow. It quietly takes root in the darkness and allows time to do the rest. Human beings are the same. There are stages in life that do not require extreme effort. They only require learning how to breathe more slowly, live more slowly, and stop placing so much pressure on yourself. And then you will realize that the greatest freedom is not having the power to control everything, but no longer being controlled by the fear of losing control. That is when you can smile at change instead of panicking, accept an ending without losing yourself, keep moving forward without carrying so much regret. And it is also when you understand that peace never came from having a perfect life. It comes from the moment the mind finally stops resisting the flow of life. There will come a point in life when you no longer want to win every argument, no longer want to prove yourself right to the entire world, and no longer try to hold on to the things that are drifting away, not because you have become weaker than before, but because you finally understand that peace is far more valuable than controlling everything. Human beings spend too many years trying to master life, yet very few realize that life itself is teaching them how to let go. Every loss, every disappointment, every moment that does not go according to plan is quietly reminding us that nothing in this world remains forever in the form we wish for. And the more mature you become, the more you understand that what truly exhausts you is not the changes happening outside, but the resistance inside your own mind. There are people who appear very strong. Inside they have been exhausted for a long time. They carry too much pressure to be perfect, too much fear of failure, too much effort to keep everything stable. But life is like water flowing through your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it disappears. And then one day, after all the tension, the sleepless nights, and the moments of forcing themselves to be okay, they realized that what they truly needed was never more control, but to feel lighter, to live without constantly fearing that something will collapse, to wake up without a mind weighed down by thousands of thoughts, to accept that some things were never meant to belong to you, no matter how sincerely you love them. That is the moment when a person truly begins to mature, not when they achieve more success, but when they learn how to release the things that are hurting their soul. Buddhism teaches that all suffering begins with attachment. We suffer because we want to keep forever the things that are naturally impermanent. We want a feeling that never changes. We want a person who never leaves. We want life to always go smoothly, but the nature of life is movement. No season stays forever, no rain lasts forever, and no pain lasts forever if people stop clinging to it. The hardest thing is not letting go of something. It is accepting that you cannot control everything the way you want. When you understand that, the mind begins to soften. You no longer force people to understand you. You no longer try to keep relationships that survive only through endurance. You no longer punish yourself for things that have already passed. You begin living more slowly, breathing more deeply, and looking at life through different eyes. Eyes no longer filled with fear, but filled with understanding. You understand that some doors must close for a new path to appear. Some people walk beside you only for part of the journey in order to teach you a lesson. Some failures are not there to destroy you, but to pull you away from a path that was never meant for you. And sometimes what feels like losing everything is actually the moment when the soul begins to be set free, because sometimes what keeps people trapped is not their circumstances, but their refusal to let go of the old version of themselves. We fear change because we think letting go means loss, but in truth, many times it is the act of holding on that prolongs the suffering. A hand can only receive something new when it is no longer tightly holding on to what is old. The heart is the same. It cannot find peace if it continues carrying regrets, anger, and fears from the past. Maybe right now your life still contains many pressures. There are still things keeping you awake at night. There are still wounds you cannot yet name. But remember that you do not need to solve your entire life in a single day. You do not need to always be strong. You do not need to control everything in order to deserve peace. Sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is allow themselves to rest from the burden of holding themselves together for too long. Let your mind be still for a while. Stop forcing yourself to have every answer immediately. Trust that not everything leaving is a tragedy, and trust that life is not against you as much as you think. It is only teaching you how to grow through softness instead of resistance. One day, when you look back at the road you have traveled, perhaps you will not remember every single thing that once kept you awake with worrying, but you will remember the feeling of those days when your soul felt unbearably heavy from trying to hold everything together. And you will also remember the moment when you finally learned how to relax, the moment when your heart no longer needed to fight against the flow of life. That is when true peace appears, not loudly, not violently, only gently, like the morning sunlight touching a soul that has been tired for far too long. So if today you feel exhausted from trying to control everything, allow yourself to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Look up at the sky where the clouds never try to stay in one place and are still beautiful in their own way. Life is the same. It does not need to be perfect in order to be meaningful. And you do not need to hold on to everything in order to finally find peace within yourself.